Hey y'all, it's Thursday. It's Friday Eve, and I'm back with another video. Today on the talk shows, but they're gonna kind of go a different way today. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. I hope all y'all are doing okay. Um, yeah, that's it. So today I'm going to start with talk shows and go into what I started yesterday when I said I'm going to try to take this since it's October and it is the month of Halloween, my favoriteest, most favoriteest time. I know everybody likes Thanksgiving and Christmas, and those are good. I like those. Those are family holiday things. But Halloween and that month and the spooky ookie dookie, yeah, that's my jam. So today on talk shows, it was bad mothers and the children they have. And that's going to take me into my serial killer of the day. It is. There are so many. And most of them got mommy issues. So they probably would have been on. I mean, I wonder if there were things like Steve and Maury and Karamo and the talk shows way back then. I wonder if there would have been less serial killers. Probably not, but one can hope. So today was on Steve. On Steve today, they had two moms, two kids who wanted to talk to their moms. The first child was abused as an infant by her father, and everybody was saying it wasn't the daddy, it was your mama that did it. Your mama did it. And I'm like, I mean, that's plausible. But she looked to be, now everybody out there, when y'all see this back in the replay, y'all can hit them comments because, it's only one person. I'm just talking. DC is not down here. DC's upstairs cooking. So I'm just by myself, so I ain't got nobody to bounce these ideas off of. So I decided, come on live. Come on her and let's see what's going on. So today was, the first one was a young lady who had been abused as an infant. She and the abuse she received at the hands of her parent is going to have effects into her adulthood. She said that the doctor even told her that there may be some early onset dementia or Alzheimer's due to the injuries she sustained as an infant, which is crazy because if you think about it, I don't remember anything when I was an infant. But something that your parents did to you is going to affect you into your adulthood and eventually limit the time you have on this earth. And I think that kind of sucks. So anyway, what it was is that, but she was having issues because the mama was telling her what happened, what the dad told her. See, here's the thing. Hold on, y'all, my bad. Oh! All right. So the mother told her what I'm assuming the father said the night that it happened. Because the reality is there were only three people there. It was the mama, the daddy, and the baby. That was it. Hey Daisy, how you doing? There was only three people there. So it was not like it was in a room full of people and stuff like that. It was just, sorry about that, y'all. It was just three people there. So the mother said that what had happened was is that the dad was playing video games. The baby wouldn't stop crying. He shook the baby. I'm okay. How you doing? He shook the baby. So she stopped crying, put her in her bed. She came home from working 12 hours, went to bed. He gets up to check on the baby, I guess after he get through playing his game or whatever with the book. He goes in there, the baby is blue, ain't breathing. He goes and gets the mama. The mama runs down the street to get somebody to call 911. Yay, whoop-de boom. That's what the story that the mama told. The father's parents told. The father's family, not parents. I don't know their parents, family. It could have been sister, cousin, friend, I don't know. Said that that's not what happened. Your father didn't do that to you. He did get arrested and he got convicted on child abuse charges, but he only got like 18 months. Which was bad. Which I imagine was bad in jail, but hey, it wasn't long enough for something that's going to affect this child for her entirety of her life. So the father's family told her that that's not what happened. Your mom and daddy was arguing. Your mama was holding you, and your mama threw you in the crib, and you hit your head on the wall. Okay, that's what the family that the mama said. That's what the daddy's family said. Now here's the thing. This child looked to be older than Nick. Okay. Now I know that Nick had a bumper on his bed. In his crib. Now I think you ain't supposed to have bumpers. I don't know. They say it's a hazard, I guess. I don't know. But he had bumpers on the bed and a mattress. So unless this child was sleeping on a brick mattress, and it's a brick wall and a brick crib, how could throwing the baby, unless you chucked the baby at the wall and then the baby fell into the crib, how would that cause the amount of brain damage? And there's a difference between blunt force trauma in an infant and shaking. There just is. Hell, just watch one TV medical show and you'll notice the difference. Or Google it. But anyway, here's what I don't get. Here's my thing. Here's what I don't get. I hope, and I'm using myself as an example, I hope that I have raised Nick to where he's not violent and he's abusive. I hope that he wasn't abused. He had normal kid stuff happen to him, but you never know. That's why I understand as a parent you want to protect your child and you want to cover him and her at all costs. But the reality is, I don't think I could protect my child if he hurt his child. I don't think that I would, because I don't feel like that would be protecting him. I think that would be making it worse for him and everybody around him. Hey, Addie, how you doing? So I would hope that if Nicholas did something crazy or bad or especially child abuse, I would err on the side of my grandbaby. I would, you know what I'm saying? I would hope that would be the case. But the daughter hasn't had anything with the families, with the father's side of the family since she was a child. And she hadn't spoken to her mama in 2 years. Because it was just, I guess at some point, what I'm trying to say is this. From what the young lady said, that she'd been abused prior to this. Mamas, I'm coming to y'all. At what point do we say no? At what point do we just, at what point do we realize our kids are the most important in this situation, especially if this ain't your husband? But even if it is your husband, let's say for the sake of argument it is your husband, even if it is your husband, at what point do we realize that no is a complete sentence and it means what it means? From what the child said, she read her records and there had been signs of abuse previous to this, and I'm almost positive that the mama had an inkling. The mama knew something, especially if she the one, because she kept saying, I always had to work. I had to work to keep a roof over our heads. Well, why was you keeping a roof over a grown ass head? Here's my thing. That's what blow me. That's what blow me, y'all. Here's what blows me. Being in a domestic violence atmosphere, environment, and situation. I get it, that it is not as easy as people crack it up to be. It is not as easy as, why don't you leave? It's not. There are so many factors in between the first time somebody hits you or abuses you sexually, emotionally, than it is. There's so much time between that first time and that time that you are able to leave. I'm not talking about somebody who's making excuses for the violence and for the things that are happening to them, or that there is, just logistically speaking, there is a lot to happen, especially if you're in a situation where you don't have the finances or the family or the resources to just pack your shit up that same day and go. I get that. Everybody, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you make the decision, because the first thing, the first step in leaving an abusive situation is making the decision to leave the abusive situation. The first step is no longer allowing excuses, no longer accepting lies, no longer. That's the first step. The very first step is not actually walking out the door. I don't know. Baby tell me to wipe the lens all the time. So the first step is making the decision to leave. For me, it took a week. For me, it took a week. Because I had been telling, I've been telling my sister, hey, I'm tired of all this arguing. I'm tired of all this cussing. I'm tired of all this fussing. But it had to, when it was just affecting me, even though my son had seen stuff, well, not physical stuff, but heard the cussing and the arguing. When it was only affecting me, I sucked it up. I sucked it up. I did. Because I was in a town where I had no family, no friends. The only person I had was the person I was living with. And I wasn't working. I was staying at home, taking care of the house and everything, cooking and cleaning and making sure and washing clothes and doing all of the wifey stuff, while my partner was going to work and working and paying the bills. I contributed to the house. You know, I was a single parent. I got food stamps. I got stuff like that. I had worked my entire life, paid into these things. So I used the benefits that came for people that needed them. So I contributed to the house. She never had to buy food. She never had to buy the things that we needed for the house. I did that. She paid the bills. But it's a lot when you have to leave somebody's house because you got to have somewhere to go, especially if you got a kid. Got to have somewhere to go. So I understand it takes a lot, but the first step is going, hey, I'm leaving. You don't tell nobody. You may not tell nobody, but in your head, in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul, you have made up in your mind, I'm about to go. And then you make a plan and you do your thing. At what point do we stop making excuses and just make that decision? I'm leaving. I don't want to hear about it's embarrassing. That there, yeah. You know I'm leaving, and I got to get out this house. Especially if it's not. You know that somebody's doing something to your kid. You know what I'm saying? You may not have seen it, but your child acts a little different. And I guess it's kind of up to us to see the signs. So come to find out, lady took a lot to take the test, and she told the truth. He was the one who hurt the girl. Mother and daughter reunited. Yay. That wasn't that bad. I mean, she called the cops. He went to jail. Everything. But the daughter was having so many conflicting stories, and she wasn't as close to her mother as she wanted to be, as she had been in the past. And she just wanted this to be done because people were talking. I don't know why people listen to the streets so much, because the streets not telling you the truth. People say the streets don't lie. Yes, they do. Because the streets are made up of so many different stories. Which one is the truth? Which one do you believe? Most people believe the worst one about you all the time. Most people believe the worst story about you. Every show, every talk show, Every time somebody calls somebody a cheater or something, it's because the streets was talking. The streets was telling me. My cousin was telling me. My auntie was telling me. Your homegirl told me. Ask me. The streets lie. Because they know you're not going to believe it. Come on. The streets lie. So she had been getting so many conflicting stories. She wasn't as close to her mom. And she wanted to take the test and get it out there publicly once and for all what happened when she was a baby. And she did. Her and her mom hugged, cried, and now they're not going to go like they were. Fine. The next story was the most prevalent story in these. A woman having to have a man, bringing it around her kids, and that man taking advantage of her children. But here's the thing. It pisses me off when we have mothers that don't believe their children when they tell them something about somebody. And the first thing they see, well, I didn't see it happen. They don't do it in front of me. May I ask the crowd, may I ask the panel, what criminal does crime shit in front of people? No, I'm not going, I'm a pervert. No, I'm not going to scoop no ass in front of you. But as soon as you turn your back, as soon as you go to work. So the daughter told her mama, the daughter was molested by her stepfather when she was 13. She told her mama a few years later. I think she said she was 18. And she was like, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to tell you. You weren't going to believe me anyway. And that wasn't the only thing he done. He used to touch me and do other things all the time. And you wouldn't believe me. You weren't listening to what I was saying. So, and the mother says, no, I don't believe her because I didn't never see it happen. And as they're talking, the mama's sitting up there talking about, well, yeah, he was doing meth when we first got together. What? You brought a meth head into your house with your kids. But he didn't do drugs in front of him. Okay. Okay. I said that to say this. We're going on about, hey, Journey. Hey, y'all. So, like I said, I'm going to start. So I use today's talk shows to bring me on to today's serial killer. So I'm going to start talking about things during the month of October and maybe in November if y'all like it and we keep doing it. We're going to talk about things that are scary, serial killer, and all things bad. So I said this about mothers. I started with mothers because if the one underlying theme in psychopaths and sociopaths, especially those that go the serial killer route and start killing women, a lot of those attribute a lot of their fetishization and a lot of their victimology toward a mother figure in their life. So today's serial killer, since we're talking about bad mama, is Ed Kemper. He's the co-ed killer from the 60s and the 70s. Ed Kemper was a huge man. He's like 6'8", 300. He was a big man. And to all that saw him and paid him any attention, he was a big teddy bear. You know how most dudes are the big like that? Also a teddy bears. To the world, to the general public, he was a soft-spoken, he was a genius. He was a recorded genius, I think. One understand. And he was very smart, very intelligent, very soft-spoken. Huge dude, very soft-spoken dude. Let me see if I can get y'all. Can I see him? Oh, that's him right there. I'm trying to turn it to the side. That's him. This is just a Wikipedia I had pulled up. So, however, he had a little dark side. And his dark side was that to a lot of people that are psychopaths, a lot of psychopathy has a lot to do with sex and violence mixed together. You get a lot of serial killers and a lot of not even serial killers, people who abusive people um, rapists, child molesters, things like that, associate violence and sex together. I don't know why. I mean, I like a little ass smacking and hair pulling myself, but I mean, that's about as far as I go. But so his mother was awful. His mother was bad. She was overbearing. She hated her son. She hated her son. She didn't like her son. And she made it known that she didn't like her son. For the longest time, she sent him to live with his grandparents. And he ended up killing his grandparents at the age of 16. Killed his grandmother because his grandmother was like his mama. Killed his grandmother. But then he said, and I'm not quoting, but this is what I felt like he said when he said it. And then he said, I knew my grandfather couldn't live without his wife and my grandmother, so I killed him too. Obviously. So at 16, he killed his grandparents that he'd been sent to live with, went to juvie, was in juvie for whatever time he put kids in juvie back in the day. And he got out and he went home to his mom. Well, shucky ducky, baby, quack quack. If he wasn't crazy before, he crazied up. And he loved his mother. That is the underlying theme with all of these things in psychopathy and in real life, is that abused children and children who get the least from their parents love their parents the most. Want that love and that thing. Karamo also had a mother-daughter situation, and the daughter was mad with the mama because the mama was a junkie the whole time. And she never raised her, and she was pissed off with her. And I understand that. But I really want is for people to stop making excuses for addicts. And yes, it is a disease and all that. I really do. Because Karamo was like, well, she really couldn't because she was in a drug haze. Why? Stop making excuses. The drugs is just a part of the situation. Forget that she was let me tell you something. Yeah, okay. And alcoholics and drug addicts are not high all the time. They're not drunk all the time. And the part of the time when they're not drunk, they're still bad. They're still violent. They're still the way they are with their kids. I drink to numb the pain. I get high to numb the pain. I drink to forget. I get high to forget. And these kids, our children, us, are the ones that pay the cost. We're the ones. But sometimes they go the way of the serial killer. Sometimes they go the way of the mass murderer. Sometimes they go the way of the rapist. Sometimes they go the way of instead of addressing the situation. I want to kill my mama over and over and over again. And that's what happens. So what had happened is during his time, hold on, I'm going to read because I don't want to give y'all any false information. So from 1972 to 1973, he killed 7 women. Magdalene, hey! He killed 7 women. They were co-eds in Florida. And this was back during the time where people were hitchhiking, sticking out their thumb, and even when they had active serial killers going on, even when you knew that you fit the profile of the people that were getting killed, people were still hitchhiking. Don't ask me, I don't know. I would just be walking. So he was especially violent because he was not only a serial killer, he was a necrophiliac. He dismembered, he killed, he dismembered, had sex with the body parts. He was a hot mess. So eventually he went home. He was still living at home doing all this. His mama was still his mama. Y'all feel me? So one night he had went home. He went home and he wanted to talk to his mother. He still loved his mother, regardless of how she treated him, regardless of how she acted. He still loved his mother. He still wanted his mother's love, no matter how crazy he was. So he wanted to go home and talk to his mom about whatever. I forget because I watched the documentary and I watched him and they actually interviewed him when they were getting ready to do the behavioral science unit at Quantico at the FBI. He was one of the serial killers that they interviewed to get their information to start making the profiles to start profiling. He was one of the original serial killers. It was him. It was Henry Lee Lucas. I think they did a little bit of Ted Bundy before he was executed. But he was one of the original um, serial killers that they talked to learn how to profile other serial killers. So I've listened to the tapes. I've watched the show because there is a show on Netflix called Manhunter. If you like serial killers and all things crazy, go watch it because it is good. There are different movies about Ed Kemper. They are coming out with a new one. They're doing John Wayne Gacy. They've done a lot of Ted Bundy's. I don't know why, because he wasn't even the most prolific serial killer. That happened to be a black man, Sam Little. Yeah, but I digress. We ain't talking about Sam today. We're talking about Ed. Ed in particular, because recently they have had a resurgence in popularity of serial killers and things like that, and they are doing a I forget whose name is, but if you watch Netflix, you know they have a series called Monsters, and they do different serial killers. They've done Ted Bundy, Eileen Wuornos. They've done the Menendez brothers who killed their parents, and now they're doing Ed Gein, who for some reason everybody talks about like he was the worstest of all serial killers ever in life. When he wasn't. He really, technically, he wasn't a serial killer at all because he only killed 2 people. But he was a necrophiliac and he was a grave robber. He used to rob graves, take the skin off of dead bodies and make furniture out of it. So maybe that's why. But as serial killing goes, he was not prolific. He killed 2 people. And he really only killed them because he didn't have. The reality was, if you go back and you listen to the actuality of all things Ed Gein, he only killed those 2 people because he ran out of fresh corpses to skin. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't crazy. I'm just saying, as serial killers go, he was on the low end of the totem pole because we have Mr. Kemper here. Mr. Kemper was picking up hitchhikers with dead bodies in the trunk. Mr. Ed there was going to and talking to the police, and that's how they realized. That's how one of the profiles is a lot of that they say that a lot of offenders will insert themselves into the investigation to see what the cops are doing. They got that from him because this is back in the day. You know, they didn't have all that privacy stuff and all the things they have now. You had a whole bunch of cops that because they were cops were doing whatever they wanted, and most of it was illegal. That includes telling personal stuff that you know, they didn't really have the privacy acts and things like that back in the day. If I am not answering questions, y'all, I promise you, it's because for whatever reason, when I'm on my phone, my comments don't always scroll up. So if I'm not answering questions, I'm not ignoring you. Please don't leave if you think I'm ignoring you. Just type it in again because I can't. The last thing I have is Magdalene. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. That's the last comment I have. So if y'all are commenting and I'm not commenting on those, that's the reason why. For some reason my phone won't scroll up. Okay. It's so sad that kids are being neglected in this country and abroad. It breaks my heart so badly. It is, but here's the thing. What kills me about that, Addie, is that we always have all these people coming on talking about save the children, help the children. We have commercials with sad music and talking about feed the African starving children, and you have all these things of missionaries talking about we have to go to these countries and not when in reality the people who are hurting the children are the most are the people who are sitting up here telling you not to hurt the children. You have Christian missionaries going over to these countries, raping and assaulting and killing these kids, and nobody's saying anything about it because they're helping the grown-ups, and a few kids going missing is irrelevant. In America, you abolish abortion so you can have babies that they kill when they become babies, as opposed to actually having some recourse for somebody who doesn't want to have a child and who shouldn't have one. But once the kids get here, once you have abolished abortion, and children and people are no longer have access to actual health care, and you get all these babies here, now you have a foster system that abuses them. You have parents that didn't want them that abuse them, and you have the world that abuses them because they're trying to take away subsidies and resources for children from people who don't have money. And all you ever hear people talk about is, oh, bullshit. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Get a job. Get a job where? You don't want to pay a living wage. You get pissed off when somebody at McDonald's make more than $7 an hour. Why the hell they make $15 an hour? They ain't doing them with flipping burgers. They're flipping your burgers. You the one that's there in line hollering about why you put ketchup on my hamburger. I didn't ask for ketchup. But you don't want them to make a living wage to take care of the children from them bootstraps pulling that you talking about. And then you have a whole generation of kids like this dude who by a parent that shouldn't have had a baby. She shouldn't have no children. She didn't like them. But it was the 40s, and she was supposed to be barefoot and pregnant. That's what women were supposed to do. So you had an entire generation of children that were just, especially boys, that were just left to do what boys do. They were just left out there. Generations upon generations of violent men. Generations upon generations of women who think they're nothing but wives and baby makers. Grandmamas that's been lying their whole life about how much they love their husband. Family members that have been ostracized and completely ridden out of a family because they didn't want to get married, because they didn't want to be a wife, because they didn't want to have no kids, because they couldn't have kids. And you wonder why it's not more people like him. He killed these women because he couldn't kill his mama. That's who he wanted to kill. That's who he wanted to kill. But he loved her too much. He loved her. He loved her and he wanted that love back. But his psychopathy, it was too much for him. So he just started killing women look like his mom when she was young. Hold on, let me see. I want to see how many. 7 women died at the hands of Ed Kemper, not including his mama and her friend. 7 young women. Now, in the serial killer pantheon of serial killers, is that a whole hell of a lot? No. No. You have hundreds of serial killers that have doubled the number that he did. But it's what he did to his mama. It's what he did to his mama that puts him up there with the ew. So he goes home to talk to his mama, and she is in rare form, calling him out his name, talking about how she wished he wasn't born, how he was the worst thing that ever happened to her, da 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 da, whoop-de-whoop. And he snapped. He killed her. He decapitated her. Had sex with the corpse and the head, and then buried her head underneath the window of his room so that she would always look up at him. Now, this is what he said. Now, I don't know if it's true. Again, he could be embellishing because people want to, People want to look. I guess if you're a serial killer, you want to be the baddest one out there. I don't know. I'm not a serial killer. I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway. So yeah. This is the extreme version of what happens when you think being a parent is putting food on the table and buying them clothes. This is the extreme version of what happens when you act like the child did something to you because it was born. You the one had it. You the one had the stuff that made it. But this happens every day. Ted Bundy was another one. He thought his mama was his mama, but his mama was his... He thought his sister was his sister, but his sister was his mama, and his mama was his grandma. So he decided to be a necrophiliac serial killer. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't want to be gay, but he couldn't stop being gay. He also couldn't stop being crazy. So he just decided, since he didn't want to be gay, the best way to not be gay is to be gay and kill everybody you have sex with. Okay. Very religious family talking about, oh, we don't understand. He went to church. That ain't got nothing to do with it. When you saw him killing every animal that came in y'all yard, you probably should have said something to him. And I say it now. Even now I say it. All jokes aside, I say it now. That homeschooling and not socializing your children, you're bringing up serial killers. Making yourself be the center of your child's world as opposed to making your child be the center of yours, make it serial killers. So I honestly believe they look at their children as objects and not as human beings. Absolutely. I don't understand how the bare minimum you do for anything that you bring into your home, that includes a goldfish, a puppy, a cat, and your baby. The bare minimum you do for anything that you had or purchased is feed it and give it shelter. But that's the first thing you hear out of a parent's mouth that is not really a parent. I fed you. I gave you clothes. I gave you a roof over your head. You owe me. They don't owe you shit. I don't owe my mama nothing. And my child don't owe me shit. Did I give to my mom when I had? I absolutely did. Because that's my mama and that's what you do. And she raised me and I loved her. And if I could see one person in all of creation and sit down for 2 more hours with one person, it would be to sit there and hold my mama's hand and lay my head on her shoulder. In all of creation, anything, it would be my mama. But did I owe her anything? Absolutely not. It's getting worse, the stories I've come across. America doesn't care anymore. Keep your children safe at all costs. No, they don't care. Because I don't know what it is about America saying it's the best country in the world right after it says some crazy shit like we're going to cut free lunch. Because why should children have a free lunch? What's going on in their house that their mama can't pay for their lunch? It's only $5 a day, $2 a day, whatever, however lunch is. These same people are trying to stop Medicaid and food stamps because for some people that's the only medical and food that they'll get because their mom and daddy ain't got nothing. They are rushing people to jail and then want to complain about having no man in the house. They hit daddy in jail for a ticket, for whatever. They make it hard to do everything. And they make it exponentially harder on children. When children are the only things that didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to be here. You didn't ask to be here.
I did. On display.
DC's in the building. She's through being Chef Boy our Negro. Hey, baby.
Hey, lady.
Say hey.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
so you say hi. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
I can't see.
Didn't nobody ask to be here. But once you here, after you stop being a kid and you decide to bring some kids into the world, what kind of parent do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Not just parent, because I would feed a stranger's child. Hear me when I tell you, we talking about parents. I'm not talking about parents. I'm talking about people. What kind of person do you want to be? You think a child can come in here and be hungry, stomach touching his back, and I'm going to send it to his mama? Hell no, I'm going to send it to the table. You think I don't let a stranger's child sleep on my floor? Put a pallet, blow up a mattress before I put it back outside? It's not kind of parent you're going to be. What kind of person do you want to be? Because I want the same thing to happen to my son. If I was unable, I would like for somebody to look at my baby. You know what? That's a baby. Let's take care of that baby. But that's what we don't happen no more. We're not taking care of everybody's baby no more. Because we ain't taking care of our own. That's the problem. That right there is the problem. We're not taking care of the ones we had. The people who are making these laws and who are saying these things and doing this stuff nowadays, they're not taking care of the children they brought in the world. You think they give a shit about yours? I have pipes. Y'all was wondering what that noise is. Ooh, I got dizzy. My bad. You think this is all about being a parent? This is about what kind of person you want to be. My daughter had a conversation with CPS during a co-op seminar, and she said CPS doesn't even want the children. No, they don't. Hey, Morris. No, they don't. She is 100% correct. Your daughter is absolutely, positively correct. They don't. They take children from people who are struggling, but trying their best and loving their kids to give them to a system that gives out money, but doesn't really pay attention to them. Do you know how many children have lost their lives to foster parents? People who are paid to take care of children? People who are being paid that are not giving the money to the kids? People who cycle foster children in and out? Not for the better for the families, just giving a damn. Absolutely. Give a damn. Care. Somebody was talking the other day, it was on TikTok, and she was hollering and screaming, talking about, there's no village. Where are the grandparents at? First of all, stop having babies you can't take care of. Let me say that. And I don't give a shit who it make mad. There was a point there, and there's a point now. Right now, financially, would I have a child? Absolutely not. Because I can't financially take care of it. I can give it love. I can give it stability because I'm going to be stable. But can I give it everything I want to give it? Absolutely not. And if I had a choice, I wouldn't. Stop having kids you can't take care of. And I'm not even talking about financially. Finances will figure themselves. Realistically, finances, you'll work 2 jobs. You'll ask your friends to babysit. You'll find a babysitter down the street. Mamas and daddies will find a way. And I said mamas and daddies because I'm not talking about parents. I'm not talking about somebody who decided to squeeze a baby out or to bust a nut. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about parents who will go get 25-cent ramen for themselves to make sure their baby got them shoes for school, and they make sure their babies can go on their thing. So let me tell you some good stuff, because I done ate the ramen. Because I done asked for the help. Because I ain't too proud to beg when it comes to my baby. But that being said, if you can't take care of them, don't have none. And don't expect anybody else to sit around and help them take care of you. Don't expect anybody else. to take time out their day to take care of your kids that you don't want to take care of or that you can't take care of. And it says nothing about you. And there was a whole discourse on social media about women saying that they didn't want to be parents or not having kids. There was an entire discourse about that. And people were attacking those young ladies saying that they didn't want to be mamas. They didn't want to have any babies. They wanted to live their life, travel, get education, do that stuff. And I'm sitting up there, why the hell are y'all mad at these? You are not going to help this child take care of this baby. Jobs will fire you if you're pregnant because they don't want to pay you for not being there. And because once you have a child, you're no longer at their beck and call. Jobs will fire you for getting pregnant. The same man that said, I'm going to put a baby in you so you give him some is the same one going to leave your ass there with that baby. Stop listening to folks lying to you about they going to be there. The only person that's going to be there is you. And in some cases, you shouldn't be there. And then you pushing the kids into the system. Guess what? The system don't want them. They would deny DC and I being foster parents because we're gay. But they'll give Chester child molester the kids. It's so bad I have to shake my head in disgust. You just can't save them all. It's overwhelming. Absolutely. Happy Thursday, Super Rainbow Queen. It is. And that's why I keep talking about it. We got to keep it out there in the forefront that these children that are our future are being decimated by the people that they say love them. Young men are growing up being told not to show their emotions. Don't cry. A man is supposed to be strong. A man is supposed to be violent. A man is supposed to be everything but what a man is supposed to be. Girls are taught that they are too sexual, they're too fast, that there's something wrong with them because they're attracted. Get back. That there's something. Stop. That's Bentley. That there's something wrong with them because they're women. And when they become, and as the girls get older, it is their fault that the old men are looking at them, that the old men are touching them, that your husband is touching them, that your boyfriend is touching them. It's their fault. I said. And in extreme cases, we get our serial killers. Extreme cases, that's what we get. It is sad, Addie. I need a chapstick. I talk my lips dry. In extreme cases, that's what we get. We get serial killers. We get Ed Kemper. We get Ted Bundy. We get BTK. The Green River Killer. I'm just talking about the heavy hitters, the ones that people talk about all the time. We get Sam Little, who, if it's correct, he's killed over 100 women. And he got away with it for decades. It was two dudes. It was the Golden State Killer and the Sam. I think they might be the same people. Hold on. I'm about to Google it. Because one was, I think Sam Little was the black guy. The Golden State Killer was the white guy. They were in California doing the same thing around the same time. Yeah, Sam Little was the black guy. I don't think he was the Golden State Killer though. Go to the FBI. Sam Little confessed to 93 murders. He confessed to 93. He was only convicted of 80 something. The Golden State Killer, I think he was 11. This is what you get. All jokes aside, and I'm not even joking. I'm talking about in the extreme, but in the interim, in the middle, what you get are over-sexualized children, over-sexualized little girls who either go hardcore religion or promiscuity at a young age. Because That's how they were treated. Because that's how they were treated. Boys who think violence is the answer to everything, who think they are entitled to everything. They glorify Ted Bundy. They turned him into a celebrity because he was handsome. First of all, he was not handsome. Let me get a picture of Ted Bundy. Because again, appreciate beauty. I do. He was a regular, degular, smuggler white man. He wasn't handsome. He wasn't. He wasn't Marlon Brando. He wasn't Paul Newman. Them handsome white men from around the time. I think they're around the same age. Ted Bundy was funny looking. Right now, Ted Bundy would look like somebody who messed with kids. He would. The thing about Ted, what killed me about, a lot of women thought he was handsome. I know, which freaked me out. Because I'm like, wait a minute, why is my thing still? Alright, hold on. Alright. Here you go. Y'all can see him. That's Ted Bundy. Regular smuggler white dude. And the killing part is he was getting people to get in his car after women was disappearing, getting into a car like his. Let me tell you how much that white man got away with stuff after people thought that he was the killer. They had somebody saw one of the girls get abducted and gave a description. It was Ted Bundy's face. He sure did. I'll tell you who else in a second, because I'll forget my train of thought. Ted Bundy. Somebody saw him abduct one of the women who came up missing and later murdered. Gave a description. Had the picture of Ted Bundy. Saw it. People were like, Ted, that looked like you. Not one of them said, Ted, that's you? Ted, that looked like you. Ted had a baby by a woman while he was in jail. By the way. Yeah. His daughter's out here somewhere. They had a baby by a woman while he was in prison. But wasn't just Ted. They had a lot. All of them did. John Wayne Gacy. They're having a show, I think Peacock. John Wayne Gacy. Excuse me. Killed over 24 of men back in the 60s and the early 70s. Young boys, not even men. These were kids. 14, 15, 16. I think the oldest he killed was in their early 20s. He had killed and buried so many people up under his mama's house that he had to start burying people in his neighbor's backyard or something. He buried people all around his house. He had people in his mama's house. He was acting like he was an attorney. Then he did. And let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what pissed me off. Let me tell you what pissed me off about Ted Bundy and about how the difference between how white people are treated in the law and black people. This is what the judge says when he sentenced Ted to the death penalty. Ted, you was a good lawyer. I would have loved to have you in front of me, but you went another way. You're talking to the man that kidnapped, raped, killed, and then mutilated and assaulted her dead body, a 12-year-old little girl. That's what he said to Ted. I would have loved to have you as a lawyer in front of me, but you went another way. Now, had that been a black lawyer or a black man that was studying law, because that's what Ted wasn't a lawyer. He studied law. What do you think that judge would have said to a black man who was exactly like Ted Bundy except black? Right. And I'm going to tell you something. This is an unpopular opinion. I'm about to talk about another serial killer. Today is serial killer day. Today is serial killer scary day. Because what serial killers did, people think of scary movies and they think of something supernatural or paranormal, when in reality is scary as hell. So today, the serial killer scary day. I renamed it. So, unpopular opinion. Let me tell you what pissed me off about Jeffrey Dahmer. Two things pissed me off about Jeffrey Dahmer. Number one, he knew what he was doing. He was killing people nobody would miss. During the time where AIDS and homosexuality in some places was still considered a mental disorder, because for the longest homosexuality was classified as a mental disorder like schizophrenia and psychopathy. Absolutely, it was in the books as a mental disorder. So during a time when it was very stigmatized and very uh, uh, taboo, and he was, Jeffrey Dahmer killed his first at 16. He knew he was gay as a young man. He was. They knew he was. Hey, Brown Sugar. Hey, y'all. I know it sounds like I'm perky and happy. I do love talking about serial killers because they're crazy, and I don't understand. I understand I like it, people. I do. I do. It's your girl. I understand I like it, people. I however don't understand I liking people to the point where I'm gonna go out and kill people that look like the people I don't like. I figure that if I don't like you enough that I want to take a life, it would be your life I would take and just get it over with. But again, not a serial killer, not crazy. Okay, back to Jeffrey. Jeffrey's first kill was his first human kill was when he was 16, 17 years old. He met this dude who was jogging, picked him up, took him to the house. They had sex. I want to say it was his first sexual encounter with a man. I don't know for 100% certain. I don't feel like looking it up. My iPad is doing what it want to do. Had sex with him. Realized he had sex with him. And then realized how bad homosexuality was. Took a barbell and killed him. Yeah. Then cut him up. Put him in trash bags. And threw his body in the woods. Just driving. Chunking out body parts. Cops pulled him over. Like, where you going, son? I'm just going to take this to the dump. Okay, slow down. Dead body parts in the back seat. Yeah. That was the first kill. Then, he said he didn't want to kill anymore. And he stopped. Because I think he was 16 then. He started killing in his 20s. But I want to say his killing started by accident. If what is said is true, his killing started by accident. If what is said is true. He would go to gay bars and gay bathhouses that had rooms to where you could have sex in it. Back in the day, you could go to the club and you get freaky deaky sneaky. They had rooms in the back. Pay for the time. Do your thing. Keep it pimping. So he would drug because he didn't want anyone to see him being gay. This is Jeffrey Dahmer. For anybody coming in, we were talking about bad parents, which segued into bad parents turning kids bad, segued into bad kids turning into serial killers, which now we're on the serial killers. We started with Ed Kemper, to Ted, to now we're with Jeffrey. We're going to go back to the other ones, but we're at Jeffrey right now. So for all those who are just in here, that's what we're talking about. So he would drug the people that he would meet at the bar, take them in the back, have sex with them, and leave. They would be assaulted, and it's still assault. He was still a rapist, on top of everything else. Because these men, regardless of whether or not they wanted to have sex, they could not consent to having it. Because they'd been drugged to the point of passing out. But what had happened was, he gave one guy too much, or he was allergic. Anyway, the guy died in his sleep. And he realized that he was sexually turned on by the body, by the body dying and the cooling of the body and how the skin and the body feels different in death. He realized that was a kink. He realized that, oh shit, I like it. I like it a lot. Again, I don't understand But I digress. So then he realized, I don't know whether he was actually attracted to black men, brown men. I don't know. But I do know that he realized that he could get away with it longer if he killed people nobody would pay attention to being gone. Gay black men. It got to the point so bad, he had kidnapped a 14-year-old Filipino boy. I cannot say that young man's name, so I will not butcher it. But he kidnapped a 14-year-old Filipino boy. The little boy got away. 2 black women found him, called the cops. The cops took the boy back. And because Jeffrey had been taking pictures of the little boy while he was incapacitated, they gave the little boy back to Jeffrey. Come to find out later on, he had been killing him and bringing him back. Choking him, cutting his ear off, killing him, and then bringing him back. So Jeffrey decided, I don't want to be a serial killer anymore. I just want living zombie men. People that I can have sex with that don't hear me, don't see me, don't do anything. So he started drilling holes in their head and pouring lime to the holes. It was going to kill him. I don't know why he thought he was a surgeon all of a sudden. And these people were going to live through these at-home surgeries, lobotomies he was giving. But hey, that was his rationalization. But I said all that to say this. During the trial, what pissed me off was the family of those young men. Nobody was looking for them. Nobody was looking for them. Nobody had wanted, not wanted. What's the baby? What's the posters you put out when you're looking for somebody?
Huh?
What's the posters you put out when you're looking for somebody? You know, your dog wanted missing posters. Nobody had any missing posters, or these kids weren't at a thing on somebody's radar. But here come the trial, and here come all these families that weren't missing their family members until the picture started popping up on TV, screaming and hollering about it. Popular opinion, forget them. I was about to say another word, but baby told me to stop cussing so much. Every family member, especially that one hollering, talking about, I hate you, I hate you. How you hate him? You ain't miss your brother until he was gone. You ain't miss your brother until you get some TV time. Why weren't you looking for your brother? Why wasn't your brother at home? Your brother was gay, so you decided he wasn't necessary, he wasn't needed, he wasn't desired until you could get some attention for being the aggrieved relative. Every person that came in there hollering and screaming about somebody they didn't miss pissed me off. Because most of those kids, most of those young men were thrown away because they were gay. Most of those young men were not allowed back in their house because they were gay. Because they were not what their parents decided was what a real man was. He wasn't out there snatching little young men from their mama's house. He was getting disenfranchised young gay men because they were not allowed to be around their family. But as soon as their kids was gone, as soon as you could profit off it, as soon as you could benefit from it, as soon as you can get some attention for it, you out there screaming and hollering about how much you hate it and how much you love your brother. Why didn't you have your brother in your house? Why was your brother out there on the stroll? Why did your brother think he had to hide who he was? Lie about it. That pissed me off to no end. It really did. There are millions of unhoused young people, and the only reason they're unhoused is because they're gay. Because their mamas and daddies put them out. And even if they're not unhoused, they're in a situation where they are being abused. Even if not physically, emotionally, spiritually. I heard a young man talk about his mama. The only thing she could say is the reason I can't accept who you are is because you ain't gonna give me a daughter-in-law to abuse and grandkids to love. If you want to abuse my wife, I wouldn't bring you around her no way. So many people fell victim to serial killers because of the people that should have loved them didn't. Hey, Marguerite. It just is what it is. Serial killers thrived and were so prolific because they picked people they knew nobody would miss. And I know that it is idealistic, and I know that this is not a perfect world, and I know that it can't happen, but there should not be children running around out here with nobody missing them. Now, I can understand if everybody in your family dead. That's a different story. I'm not talking about extreme circumstances where you have no family left. For maybe it was an accident and your entire nuclear family passed away and you didn't get to know your extended family. I'm not talking about extreme cases. I'm talking about regular, everyday people thrown away by the people that are supposed to love them. And it pisses me off. And 9 times out of 10, those children become victims of other children who were thrown away. This is a cycle. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? It is a cycle that we need to at least try to break. Even if we can't completely break it, even if it can't be done across the board, for whatever reason, there's got to be a way that we can try to at least not add to it. Excuse me, y'all. My nose, I'm stopped up. I get a little passionate. But the reality is you can run through serial killer cases and you can see the way that society has treated people. That microcosm that is serial killer land shows you the world. It shows you the difference that happens. Do you think that Ted Bundy picked up women that he eventually went on to rape and murder after his mugshot, not his mugshot, after a picture rendering of him had been put on the news? And it looked like him. It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like a realistic, it wasn't like, like a picture, but it looked like him, the eye shape, the hair, the face, everything. He was still getting women to let him pick them up after his wanted poster had been posted. Cops let him go in the car that was posted as the car that was picking up people. A cop pulled him over. He had his bag in the back. He had his serial killer bag in the back. A cop pulled him over. Let him off with a warning. A cop pulled Ed Kemper over with a dead body in the back seat, in the trunk. Ed thought he was going to have to kill him. Let him off with a warning. Cops took a 14-year-old underage boy back to a grown-ass man, even though they could see that there was something severely wrong with this little boy, and gave him back to him. They wouldn't even give that little boy to me. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker in California, was killing and raping. He looked like a clean-cut, handsome white man. But he also looked like a serial killer. That's what I don't get. This is what boggles my mind. I know there are anomalies to everything. That's like, okay, case in point. When the DC sniper was sniping, I was living in Alabama at the time. But, we was all taking bets on what color, what race the DC sniper was. And not nobody in the room, black or white, said a black man. So here's my thing. There are anomalies. Like I said, Sam Little was a serial killer. He got convicted of killing 8 women. He was killing prostitutes. He got away with it for so long because nobody's looking for a prostitute. Nobody's looking for a prostitute. Nobody's looking for a child. They're not. They're not. If a child, let me tell you right now, if your 13-year-old daughter is abducted, the first thing they're gonna ask is there any reason why we run away? They're not gonna assume. They're gonna assume that. They're gonna assume that your baby ran away before they put out an Amber Alert. Especially if you black, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I say what I'm going to say. They're going to assume that child ran away or was doing something they had no business doing. And that's what the cops are going to tell you. They're not going to rush out and look for your baby. Unless there is blood on the floor and it was snatched through a window and there's some kind of evidence of trauma or some kind of evidence that the child was taken. Your 12, 13, 14-year-old child is going to be out there butt naked, raw dogging it because ain't nobody going to look for him but you. Because the first thing they're going to say is maybe she left on her own. Maybe she's a runaway. Same thing with boys. Even though boys don't get kidnapped as often, sadly, boys don't get taken as often. They get taken, but not as often. It's always an excuse. And I'm not going to say the kids didn't run away. Because I don't know the home life. But the reality is it doesn't matter if they ran away or not. There's a child with nowhere to stay, no money, nowhere to go, out there by themselves. And your only job is to look. Your only job is to prevent and is to investigate crime and prevent it. How about you go look for this child before it becomes a crime? But that's not what happens. That's why serial killers, that's why predators get away with it. Because nobody pays attention to kids like they supposed to. Jeffrey Dahmer could kill the number of people he could kill because he was killing young gay black men. The reason we know so much about Ted Bundy is because he wasn't killing prostitutes. He was killing young collegiate black white women. That's the only reason that we know what's going on. That's the only reason there was so much talk about it. The BTK was killing families. That's why we know about his. The Green River Killer killed for years before anybody paid any attention to him because he was killing prostitutes. There's a highway killer right now they have not caught who they know is in a truck, who is a highway trucker killing prostitutes up and down the interstate, but they can't catch him because they're killing prostitutes and don't nobody care about them. Kids are being assaulted every second of every day by somebody their mama or their daddy brought into the house. And nobody's paying attention to what these children are saying because the child is making it up. He misunderstood what happened. Parents are not teaching their children about places that people shouldn't touch. Because I don't want to teach my child about sex too early. Guess what? There's somebody out there that has no problem teaching your child about sex too early. And by then it'll be too late. They're trying to get rid of sex education in classes. Parents are we are going, I want to say we're going back to religion, but we're using religion as an excuse to commit atrocities on children. I don't care your religious affiliation. I don't care who you believe or how you worship. I really don't. I am the live and let live, do what you do, to each his own kind of person. Will I judge you privately? Probably. Will I tell you you can't do it? Absolutely not. Who the hell do I look like? However, children are most exposed, and the most dangerous place for your children are religious schools. Nuns and priests killed thousands of Native American indigenous children in the name of religion. They were abused physically, mentally, and sexually. Priests, pastors, reverends, deacons, deaconesses of the church, having complete, absolute, total control over children, and nobody believes them when they say, somebody hurt me, somebody touched me. You don't believe it until the child is snatched and killed. But then it's too late. You allow your children to hug and kiss on anybody grown because they say they want to hug and a kiss. Kiss my ass. I was like that. My mom was like, kiss your auntie, kiss your uncle, da 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 da. And that's fine. That's how they were raised. But that's not how I raised Nick. Nick ain't got to hug, kiss nobody he don't want to. And if he don't know you, don't touch my baby. Well, I'm his auntie. I don't care. I'm his cousin. I don't care. If he's not comfortable, I'm not. What's so hard about that, y'all? What is so hard about if my kid ain't comfortable, I'm not comfortable. If I'm in a situation on a date and I'm making somebody I'm dating uncomfortable, I'm the problem. I need to go. If somebody's not comfortable, why is that a problem to stop the situation, to remove yourself, to get the hell on? I was listening to a TikTok about this lady does works at home for HR, and she had a situation to where this man was being felt uncomfortable and was being not assaulted, I guess would be assaulted, but sexual harassed at his workplace because he'd been married. He got a divorce, and as soon as he got a divorce, a lady who had been working in the office, I guess she liked him and wanted him or whatever, whoop de whoop, started asking him out. At first, he was like, okay, whatever. I don't want to go out with anybody. I'm cool. I just got divorced. That ain't what I'm thinking. So she waited, did it again, and kept doing it and kept doing it. And nobody wanted to pay attention to that because he was a man. And you should be flattered. I'm uncomfortable. She keeps asking me out, and I don't want to go out with her. I just got divorced. But nobody wanted to pay that shit any attention. What is wrong with us? We normalize things that we shouldn't normalize. And we want our children to do things. We want our children to have to make adult decisions as children. But we want our children to stay in a child's place. Children don't tell their parents because their parents don't give them a safe space to talk. But when children won't tell their parents small things, that they're not going to tell them big things. Children are embarrassed about being assaulted by either by a child that's the same age as them or by an adult. They're embarrassed. They think that their parents or their family members are going to not love them or going to think it's their fault because we don't show them any different. We don't teach them any different. And that's why people like Ted Bundy, Ed Kemper, whatever serial killers that's going now, and whatever ones that are coming in the future, they get by because we're not teaching our kids right. Because our kids don't see us as a safe space. And sadly, the only people that benefit those are the predators. But this is way too heavy for the Halloween supernatural spooky ooky. We're supposed to be talking about cereals. I don't understand it. Here's why. That's why I never put mine in that position. Absolutely. And if they do, just so happen, get hurt or abused, they got to be able to come to you. They got to be able to be okay. We just got to make it so that our kids see us as a safe space, as a place to be. That's it. It's small little things. We're not going to change the world. We're not. We're not going to stop serial killers. We're not going to stop predators. We're not going to stop molesters. We're not going to stop them. But we can make our children's lives and the children around us and any child that we can help better. As you know, I'm gone for the day. I've talked about my serial killers and I've went on my little tangents. But my head is starting to hurt, y'all. So I'm going to get off here. And I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we may talk about, I don't know. Tomorrow I might do supernatural. I'm thinking because people are disrespecting Dean, and I can't have that. So I think tomorrow I might just talk about supernatural. And all things spooky ooky. Thank you, Addie. I appreciate everybody who came through the chat today. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate when you don't comment. You just listen and go, yeah, that's right. That's right at your house. So make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe when you see this in the replay, and hit that notification bell so that when I go live or we drop a video, you guys can join us and you can be one. Thank you, Brown Sugar. I'll try. I've had this headache for like 3 days now, and it's like in my eyeball. I told my baby it's my eye headache. She said, what is that? I said, I don't know. It's like here. It's like, I don't know. It's like a scoop. I don't know what it is. You see this eyes droop? It's closing because I really want to just shut it. But I'm going to take some Tylenol, and I'm going to stop talking for a minute. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate everybody that came through. If I don't say your name, because my head hurt. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to say it every time I sign off. I'm going to say how much I appreciate the Mom Squad and how much we appreciate your support. So, see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.